Monday Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge. WSUW Whitewater being on UWW-TV, streamed as well. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Great. Great. We got a new guest on the show today. Carson, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Carson. I'm a sophomore, broadcast journalism major, so.
Perfect. What would you say, I'm sorry, what would you say your
teams that we're
favorite
getting
teams?
to? Yeah. Chicago mostly, Bears, Cubs, and then it switches for NBA, Bucks fan, and then big Badgers fan, mostly basketball, but football too.
A little mix of Illinois and Wisconsin.
That's right.
So, bet in 2016 you were a happy camper with the Cubs, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, I know. That's probably one of the best sports moments, if not the best, for me personally.
I have to strongly disagree with you there, but that being said, have an esteemed crew today of Zach, Adam, Chris, Carson, and Mason here on Hawk Talk, and we will get right into it. So, Warhawk Thought today, I decided to propose your favorite clutch moment in history. When I think clutch, I think of Chris Jenkins' Villanova buzzer beater against North Carolina at the buzzer, a perhaps Rajay Davis two-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning to win the World Series. Just kidding. Still, definition of clutch, I think of moments like that. Zach, kick us off. What is a big clutch moment that you were able to find for us today?
I got to go all the way back to Super Bowl 51 with Julian Edelman with that deflected catch with that 28-3 Patriots being down by, like I said, 28-3 with that unbelievable comeback with that moment of that deflected catch definitely saved them from making that comeback happen. And I just remember being at my friend's house going crazy when that deflected catch happened, being like, oh my goodness.
Truly incredible. I remember watching that game, as I think a lot of people do, specifically that Super Bowl. The whole game I was kind of rooting for Atlanta. You know, everyone has this bias towards New England. But as the game progressed and New England started making that comeback, part of me was like, I kind of want to see this happen. You know, 25-point comeback in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and as a Tom Brady fan, it was definitely a fun day for me at the end. Well, it wasn't at first, but once the second half hit, I was having a blast.
Further cementing Brady's legacy as the greatest quarterback of all time. Adam, what do you got for me?
For me, I have the Tampa Bay Rays comeback against the Yankees after being down 7-0 on September 28th of 2011.
Interesting. Tell me more.
So really the Yankees were just giving it to the Rays through at least 6 or 7 innings. Only for the Rays to score 6 in the bottom of the 8th inning to make it a game, actually. But then Rays manager at the time, Joe Madden, took a bet. He was like, okay, I'm going to go to Dan Johnson, because at that point he already had 1 home run, and it was a pinch hit home run. So he's like, you know what? I'm willing to roll the dice. Let's go to him again. And, of course, he hit a solo shot to tie the game at 7. And then you got to go all the way to the 12th inning when a much younger Evan Longoria hit a home run to left. He hit a home run to left that just cleared that short porch at Tropicana Field for them to win 8-7 and secure their spot in the playoffs that year.
That is the definition of clutch, especially when you're going down 7-0 into the 8th inning and just able to come back to secure a postseason appearance. That's incredible. And Evan Longoria, a name that haunts Brewers fans to this day from last postseason in the MLB. Chris, what do you got for me?
Mine is kind of random. I think it was a little popular when it happened, though, and put NASCAR a little bit on the map. Yes,
NASCAR. Shout out my roommate,
NASCAR.
Nick.
So it was 2022. It was a playoff race at Martinsville, and at the end, Ross Chastain was behind a little bit. He was behind Denny Hamlin in points to make the Final Four. So he just sent the car around the wall, gained a bunch of spots and made the playoffs off that one move. And I thought that was just super awesome what he did.
And it's hilarious that you mentioned that. That's back-to-back weeks in the Warhawk Thought that you've made a personal connection. My roommate, Nick, is a diehard NASCAR fan. Nick, if you're watching, shout out. But I remember him specifically going absolutely ballistic when that happens. He's just a giant NASCAR fan, specifically Tyler Reddick. But Ross Chastain, when he pulled that move, he was like, dude, this is a video game. He couldn't comprehend it. It was awesome to see, and
even
shout out NASCAR.
Ross said that himself. He's like, I played a lot of NASCAR games on the GameCube back in the day. I thought it would work, and it worked.
I'm a NASCAR fan myself, and I remember watching that too. He went from 10th to 5th, and I remember I remember the announcer for NASCAR for on NBC being like, "Take a look at what he did."
I mean, it's just unthinkable. It's not something that you would think about happening, and now that move is banned. So when you end up doing something in competition, which essentially results in that move or being banned or whatever, I think back to Kenny Pickett's slide for a football term, fake slide. It's definitely, truly a great moment in the sport's history. Carson, what do you got for me?
Mine is also kind of random. 2019 Final Four, and I was at this game in Minnesota. It was Auburn versus Virginia, and Kyle Guy, if you remember that name, got fouled on a 3 with 0.6 seconds left, and he knocked down all 3 free throws, sent them to the title game, and then they ended up beating Texas Tech in the title game. So thought it was unique because I was there, and I mean, 3 free throws with 0.6 seconds left with the title game on the line. Pretty clutch, so.
And wasn't that the game that Diakite tied it at the buzzer to send it to overtime?
That was in the Elite Eight.
Elite Eight?
Against
I got 'em mixed
Purdue.
up.
Yeah, and then they beat Texas Tech in overtime. So kind of a questionable call on the foul, but it is what it is. And Virginia won, so.
I remember watching that Final Four. I was kind of pulling for Auburn. I'm an
Yeah, I
SEC
was too,
fan,
yeah.
so Virginia, especially after getting
And yeah, that was the
bounced-
year after the
Getting
famous. Yeah.
when you
That
get
was
bounced
great.
by
Yeah,
a
it was a big-
16th seed.
I
was
loved
great.
Virginia. They were kind of like my second, third team. I liked him and Ty Jerome as well. So
Great redemption arc. Mason, finish us off. What do you got for us?
For me personally, this is one that was incredibly important to me. I was I there at this game? No, I wasn't there on this game. But I did get to go to this finals. I got to take it back to the 2021 NBA Finals. Giannis, to be honest, you could say his whole entire finals performance was clutch.
True
He was
that.
going crazy that whole one, but specifically game 4, less than 90 seconds left on the clock, tie game, lob up to DeAndre Ayton, that block right there. I remember watching that in real time. I was like, oh my God, how did he do that? Because if you remember watching it, he's first guarding, I believe it was, I forgot who had the ball. It was either Devin Booker or
I think it was Devin
Yeah, I think it was
Booker.
Devin
Yeah.
Booker. First guarding Devin Booker. Devin Booker throws the lob, quickly turns around and blocks that lob, and then passes it up to Middleton. Boom, Middleton gets it, puts us up by 2. Man, that was an electric moment, and one that, like, me as a Bucks fan, I will never forget that. Or it was either that or the 50-point game that I was going to go with, but that block specifically, that was a crazy moment for me.
And for Bucks fans, I mean, that finals run was just legendary unto itself. Saw
remember
a lot
exactly
of
where I was at.
great clutch moments. That was the summer before I started at Whitewater, so I knew after seeing the Bucks win, I would make a lot of great Bucks fans friends that I got to experience a championship. My Memphis Grizzlies will get there eventually, and I will have a moment to share with all of you Bucks fans eventually.
Keyword here is
Hopefully.
eventually.
Like in the next, like,
Hopefully.
20 years, 30, or
We'll
like,
get there
like what?
eventually. I will be crying on Beale Street when it happens. It's going to happen. We're going to get there. The moment that I selected for a clutch moment, I'm going to keep it in college basketball along with Carson. Kind of a slept-on NCAA tournament game, but I remember it specifically. It's just one of those moments where you don't forget where you were. Texas A&M versus Northern Iowa.
Oh,
Second
of course,
round.
yeah.
I want to say it was 2016 March Madness. Northern Iowa up 12 with 47 seconds to go. I remember watching the game with my dad, and he was like, turn it off. Let's get the next game on. This one's over. And I was like, well, hold on a second. It's March. Anything can happen. And he's like, come on, son. The game's over. Caruso makes a layup.
Yeah, I was just
they
gonna
get a
mention that
steal.
name.
They make a 3. Get fouled on a 3. And before you know it, you're like, oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Steal the inbounds pass. Make a reverse layup with like 3 seconds to go to send the game to overtime. Jesperson, March Madness legend, misses the half-court shot by an inch to send the game into overtime. Then the game goes into double overtime. Texas A&M wins. Truly the definition of March Madness. I love college basketball. It's my favorite of any type of sport. And a lot of people were pulling for Northern Iowa. That was like a big Cinderella team that year. And just the grittiness and determination of it, Texas A&M to come back and win that game. I mean, 12 points in 47 seconds. I mean, you're sitting there thinking on the bench, this game's over. And 5 minutes later, you're going to overtime. Just insane, the shift of emotion in the building.
Didn't Northern Iowa make a half court, or was that the year
So
before?
the game before.
Oh, the game before.
Yeah, it was against
I
Texas.
remember that.
Texas made a layup to tie the game with 4 seconds to go, and Paul Jesperson made the half-court shot to
Yep.
go to the second round. So Jesperson almost in back-to-back games.
Yeah, that would've been
had
insane.
a half-court shot to
would've
win
been
it.
sick.
He just missed it too. He hit the
Yeah.
backboard in the front part of the rim, but truly one of the greatest comebacks in March history. And that was what I selected for today's Warhawk Thought Clutch Moment. We will be now moving on to the next category. Talk about some women's volleyball. The number 3 Warhawks beat Transylvania on Saturday in Lexington, Kentucky this past weekend, giving head coach Stacy Boudreau her 600th career win as a head coach. Adam, 600 wins. It's quite an achievement. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you take a look at that sport in particular and you look at how many coaches have gone through the different programs across the country, to get 600 career wins as a head coach, I mean, that starts to get you into the conversation of potentially being in the Coaches Hall of Fame if you can continue at that pace. So really, with that win, I honestly believe that helped make her, like, I honestly believe that helped Coach Boudreau make a case. So I'm definitely looking to see her get some more wins this year and the years moving forward.
Absolutely. The Whitewater Warhawks women's team ranks number 3 in the nation, went down to Kentucky this past weekend, lost to Hope College on Saturday at 10 o'clock, and then ended up playing Transylvania that night to secure Boudreau's 600th career win. So following some stats from the game, a lot of great performances. Chris, tell me about it.
Well, it looked like a bit of a back and forth match. They lost the first set to Transylvania in overtime, and then they won by a convincing fashion second set. Another close one where Whitewater won in the third set, and then they blew it away in the fourth set. So, like I said, a little back and forth. Elena Jansky had 24 kills and 2 aces. She did really good. Jenna Weinfurt had 3 aces and 18 kills. So. Good serving, it looks like, by some of these women, and the play at the net looked really good with the high kill total.
Yeah, it was, like you said, a great comeback. When you drop the first set in volleyball matches that I've seen, it kind of can be a little demoralizing because even though you have to win 3, losing that first one is kind of the momentum builder for the rest of the match. So to be able to regroup and then go 25-16, 25-13, and then the fourth set 25-15, pedal to the metal, great all-around performance from the women's team. Carson, any other particular stats stick out to you?
Yeah, well, Whitewater has been kind of a gauntlet. They've their last 12 matches, 9 of them were against ranked opponents, and they only dropped 2. One of them to UW Oshkosh, and then, as you mentioned, Hope College. So they're 1-1 in conference, but to come out of there with 10 out of 12 wins against ranked opponents is pretty impressive. And 600 wins, I mean, for any sport, any coach is impressive. So, but they got Eau Claire, which isn't as great as the gauntlet they've faced. So hopefully it prepared them for Eau Claire. So I think they'll be just fine.
And as you mentioned, it was a pretty brutal start to the season upon looking at their schedule. Facing the number 20, number 22, number 12, number 16, number 6, number 7, 15, 4. I can go on. Whitewater has really battle-tested themselves thus far with women's volleyball, and now as we shift more heading into conference play and some other games, the schedule kind of thins out a little bit. Mason, do you think that this game and the 600th career win for Miss Boudreau will accelerate them to a elite record, 28-2, 29-2?
Man, you can't help but think so. Just like he said, with their last games, they've been playing against a bunch of ranked opponents, and they've been coming out and doing what they had to do, getting it done. You don't get 600 wins by accident. Stacy Boudreau is a great coach, and they got great players on the team. Of course, you got Elena Jansky getting 24 kills and Jenna getting 18. But then you have Abby and Aubrey combining for about 11 blocks together. That team is playing great. They're being greatly coached. And you look at a team like that and how they've been playing against other ranked opponents, and it's hard to say that they won't continue to win. And I'm looking forward to them going out there and continuing to doing what they're doing right now, being a great team.
Exactly. Standing at 14-2 on the season, another key takeaway that I've saw upon doing some research. 7-0 at home. Zach, explain the importance of winning at home.
Well, it always feels good when you win at home, right?
Exactly.
The best feeling in the world. And also, really quick, we would say huge congratulations to Stacy Boudreau on 600 wins. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, no matter where they're playing, home, away, they're they're getting the job done, scoring the W's, and they keep this up, they may go definitely. I definitely see them going far.
And like we said earlier, they've had a brutal start to the season, scheduling-wise, against ranked teams, and stand at 14-2.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive for the number 3 overall in the nation women volleyball team. They will take on Eau Claire this Friday at home, so make sure to check that out and attend for this great women's volleyball team. And again, congratulations to Stacy Boudreau on her 600th career win as the head coach of the Warhawks women's volleyball team. That'll move us on to our next segment, NFL Weekend Recap. A lot of great games in the NFL this past Sunday. Unfortunately, the Packers, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. They tried to make a little bit of a spectacle of it in the second half. Personally, I think Love was brought back too early from injury. I wouldn't classify this game this early on in the season as a must-win per se. Willis looked fine. Obviously, Love long-term is better than Willis, but it just felt forced. A lot of plays out there from Love, a lot of passes that he really didn't need to make. And the Vikings offense just was killer. Obviously, there was no Jair, but even still, Sam Darnold has looked great. Chris, I want you to tell me, should this be a wake-up call for Packers fans in terms of rushing Love back from injury, or do you think it's just the Vikings being that good and they'll be fine come the rest of the season?
I think it's a little mix of both. I think, the Vikings, after what they did to Green Bay, especially with how good their defense is, I think that shows that Minnesota is starting to put themselves into contention as being a legit team, even with Sam Darnold. Darnold's shown that with the right pieces, he can actually be a good quarterback. And as for the Packers, I think they did rush Jordan Love a little too early. I just saw the reports, after that Eagles game where it seemed like it was going to take a little while for him to come back, and for him to come back this early. I think they could have waited another week, maybe 2. But that first half, awful, obviously, for Green Bay. Second half, it was really good. Jordan Love kind of got into a rhythm a bit. And the Packers, it was very reminiscent. Even I think the play-by-play guy said it that night, Kevin Harlan. It was very similar to the Georgia-Alabama game where Alabama was up so big, Georgia started making a push, and it was too little too late. But I don't think Green Bay should be worried. We usually drop one against Minnesota each year, and this was a very good game for the Packers still. I think next time we play Minnesota, if Jordan Love's fully healthy and we got everyone still healthy and they're in a good form, I think we take the next one against the Vikings.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we needed to see a little bit more from the Packers' defense. The Vikings' offense shredded them, but I mean, you can place some of the blame on Packers' defense, but Sam Darnold has truly come out and made this season his revenge year. I'm very impressed with what I've seen. I was believing it was a total fluke through their first 3 games of the season, and I am totally on the Sam Darnold hype train. He's making those weapons, Addison, Jefferson, look tremendous. Aaron Jones has proven to be a great addition. Carson, what's one Packer player that had a performance that you would like to take away that was a bright side for the Green Bay Packers?
Bright side?
Bright side.
Well, how about the addition of Xavier McKinney? He's got 4 picks in 4 games. That's a pretty solid start to the year. And first player in franchise history to do that, which is pretty impressive feat there. A couple of bad turnovers, and it was easily a winnable game. I mean, I didn't watch it really, but I remember seeing 28-0 and then seeing the final score of 31-29. So
At least they made it a game.
yeah, heck of a comeback, but just not enough. So yeah, I think Jaden Reed continued to be impressive as well. Had 139 yards and a touchdown, so he's been wide receiver 1 this year and consistent. So that was a plus.
Undoubtedly, and especially with Watson going down in such gross fashion.
Yeah.
Guys like Reed, Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, Bo Melton, these are guys that need to step up because it looks like Watson will be out for the foreseeable future with what was diagnosed as a high ankle sprain. Luckily, not a fracture, but he will still be sitting on the IR. Coming up next week, Packers have the Rams at LA, followed by back-to-back home games against the Cardinals and Texans. Mason, what are your realistic predictions for the next 3 weeks for Green Bay?
Wait, you said the next 3 weeks? Or?
Next 3 weeks. Like, what is your outlook for the next 3 weeks for the Packers?
Oh, okay. Well,
Rams,
looking
Cardinals,
at
and
it
Texans.
off the rip, the Rams, I believe that we could probably beat the Rams. I'd say that we could. I mean, they just lost to the Bears. And Matthew Stafford, he's, of course, going to be great. You can't really do much to stop him. He's out there throwing to basically me and you out there. They're
Kupp, no
down
Nakua.
both of their top receivers right now. I'm not sure when Cooper Kupp comes
I think
back.
it was like originally 6 to 8 weeks, but they're refusing to put him on IR, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua not there, the Rams are not looking good. They're still like a decent team, but I feel like the Packers, Jordan Love had a rough game in this game. That's like irrefutable. You look at it, 3 interceptions, that's not beautiful. But there were also glimpses, especially in that second half, of the Jordan Love that we love to see and once have known. And him continuing to find his stride in the next game, I feel like he can start off with the same type of hotness that he had in the second half of this game, moving on to the next one. And you said, what was the next game after that?
Rams, Cardinals, and then Houston. Those Cardinals
Okay,
and Texans
Rams,
games
Cardinals.
are both at Green
The
Bay.
Cardinals, once again, similarly to the Rams. I feel like the Cardinals, they're a team that's working up and building up to get better. But I feel like right now, today, the Packers are still just the better team, in my opinion. I feel like that's one where that should also be a Packers win. And then moving into the next week after the Cardinals.
Against the Texans.
Texans. That's probably going to be the hardest one of the three. Not even probably. That should be the hardest one of the three. The Texans, of course, you got C.J. Stroud out there. Man, that guy, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one against the Texans. That's one where I feel like it's really anybody's game. As much as I am a Packers fan, the Texans have been playing like one of the best teams in the league. And I believe they are. But I believe the Packers are also one of the best teams in the league. So if we lost, I wouldn't be surprised. But if we won, I'd be just as not surprised. So that's one that you definitely are going to want to watch. And I will definitely be tuning into that one.
So you're probably saying worst case scenario 2-1, best case scenario 3-0?
Yeah, something like that.
And the Packers are playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, lock it.
Adam, final thoughts on that Packer game?
Well, besides the 3 picks, honestly, I think Jordan Love had a career game. I mean, he went 32 for, let's see.
54.
54
Was it 54?
passing
Okay,
yards.
yeah, 32 for
Oh,
54 in
my God.
passing with 389 passing yards and 4 touchdown passes.
Jacobs only ran the ball
I mean,
nine
if
times.
you look past the 3 picks, Jordan Love had a really good game. But
It doesn't help when you have to air it out every play with the deficit.
No, it doesn't. No, that doesn't help at all. But I mean, honestly, the game could have been a little bit better from the defensive side of things, but second half they looked a lot better. So I'm really hopeful going into next week against the Rams.
A lot more crisp and a lot more sharp, but like Chris said, unfortunately, too little, too late.
Real
Just-
quick, if I could add, I
Go
feel
ahead.
like none of us touched on it, and this was an important part of the game. And this is a problem that has been consistently the problem. And my name, brother, Mason Crosby, I'm so sorry I took you for granted because our kicking has been horrible. Those 2 missed
Yeah.
field goals, if we hit either one of those, we do win that game. Of course, it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda type of situation, but that is a consistent problem with the Packers right now. And I never thought that the thing that could hold us back from reaching that Super Bowl is still looking like the kicker, and that's unfortunate.
Special teams. Very, very important. The Titans have seen the downsides of that many a time. I was really thinking Narvison was going to be y'all's guy. Titans had him in
Yeah.
preseason this year, and we decided to let him go after kicking a 62-yard game-winning field goal. And I was like, whoever picks him up, they're getting a stud. Green Bay got him. I was like, well, at least he's my second favorite team. And then he missed that 37-yarder, and I went,
Who
Not
is
so
who is
sure.
the Titans kicker?
we got Nick Folk right now.
Okay.
It was kind of like last year because we drafted, Andrews, and he's the brother of Daniel, and we're thinking, oh, he's the brother of one of the best kickers in the league, and no.
It's just frustrating, but struggles aside, still a 2-point loss against a division rival. I
not
think Green
bad.
Bay will be fine. Once Love is fully healthy, I fully expect this Packers team to still be contending for an NFC North title and capping their season around 11-6, 10-7, and I'm not worried about the Bears or anyone. Maybe Detroit. And
Well, you should be worried about the Bears.
no, I
No, not
don't
a
think
chance,
so.
brother.
The Vikings are making their case, though, so it'll definitely be an interesting race. Originally, I thought the NFC North was only going to be between Green Bay and Detroit, but Minnesota is definitely making their case that they're a legitimate team. A lot of great games in the NFL this weekend. What was one that really stood out to you this past weekend, Zach?
Well, for one of them, my team, the Eagles, man, they just
I didn't want to bring it up, but
Huge-
I'm afraid we
huge
do have
loss.
to talk about it.
apparently they just can never win against Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, man.
We live in a world where Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold are two of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I just want to let
That's
I just want to let
Panthers
y'all know
pipeline.
we got blessed with the great
That is
timeline.
crazy.
Not to mention, too, last year in the playoffs when Philly played Tampa Bay, Mayfield just destroyed Philly. And they destroyed them too yesterday. It's like, man, Tampa Bay just owns us, man.
Hey, Zach, be thankful that I picked the Eagles. I was the lone Eagles pick on Thursday, so
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Brutal. Baker going
That was
30
brutal.
for 47, 347 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, Zach, as an Eagles fan, I'm going to have to ask you, is this a testament to Tampa Bay being that good of a team, kind of coming back from a bad loss? Or do we need to sit down and have a serious conversation about the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts in particular?
Definitely need to have a big talk about the Eagles for sure, because they're dealing with a ton of injuries right now. I don't think A.J. Brown's still back. Devontae Smith is still not back with that concussion, so it's basically just Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley just carrying this team right now.
I mean, really, through the first 4 weeks, it's been all Saquon Barkley. If
Yeah.
Saquon isn't added in free agency, I mean, you're looking at potential 0-4 because
Yeah.
two small. I mean, the first week against Green Bay, 34-29. Saquon has a career game.
Yeah.
New Orleans, they only win because of Saquon in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
If Saquon isn't signed in free agency, Eagles might be 0-4.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm glad Barkley came to Philly. I mean, I think he's a great addition to the team. I mean, I'm just very thankful that they're not 0-4, and at least they're 2-2. I mean, hey, I'd rather be 2-2 than 0-4, but
Any day of the week.
hey, with that 3-year deal that Barkley signed with Philly, I'm hoping that he stays longer because he's a really great addition, and he will be if he stays longer with the team.
And personally, like my opinion on Philadelphia, I've never been high on Jalen Hurts. I was more so when he first started, but as it progressed, I have kind of a hot take. I really don't believe it's all on Hurts. I think Nick Sirianni might be one of the most overrated head coaches in the NFL.
I would agree with
agree.
you on that.
I just don't see it. I know like he's got the mantra of the player's coach and everything, but whenever I've seen him on the sidelines and like his reactions and stuff, it just feels so for the cameras and
Yeah.
cheesy. I have never been sold on him as a head coach, and especially with this tush push propaganda. It just seems like they're building their offense to get to third and short, to continuously keep running the football. And Hurts has an arm. I mean, he was a tremendous
Yeah.
quarterback in
Does he?
college. He does. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
He had a couple underthrows, but I don't think the play calling and what Philadelphia is trying to do with him is correct. And I think his confidence and everything has been completely demoralized because they're trying to make him a player that he is not.
My thing is, well, I believe what you're saying. They're trying to make him a player that he is not. They're trying to make him a good player. He is not, and it's okay. I feel like you said, don't blame it on Jalen Hurts. It's Nick Sirianni. Two things can't be true. Jalen Hurts can't be a bum, and Nick Sirianni be a bum. They could live under the same freeway, highway, together in the same box. It's cool. Jalen Hurts. Is he even top 10 right now? I feel like
As of right now, no. But I do think he
there's
has
a
the
lot of
potential to get
players I
back.
would take over Jalen Hurts. I promise there's a lot of players I
I-
would take over Jalen Hurts.
I think Jalen Hurts can be a great quarterback if you put him in a different system. Nick Sirianni last year, I remember Eagles were continuing what they did the year before, having a great season. Towards the end of the year, they just fell apart and
Stagnant.
yeah, a lot of people were like, this is on Sirianni. And even I think some of the players were kind of expressing that they're a little unhappy with their coach.
Yeah, I don't know. I still believe in Jalen Hurts. He has not looked great as a pure passer recently, but I do believe the head coach is the problem, and I think
it's
we'll
just
see
the
that
staff
progress.
in general, the coaching staff, like the offensive coordinator, defense coordinator. It's just
And it really does show how important offensive coordinators and
Yeah.
defensive coordinators are because they lost both their offensive coordinator and defensive
Yeah.
coordinator after the Super Bowl loss against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And
and
they've-
ever since that, they've not improved.
No, it's Steichen and Gannon were both tremendous coordinators, and I really think they're missing that impact. Adam, I want to ask you, what was a game that really stood out to you this weekend? An impressive performance from any team around the NFL?
Well, I wouldn't see. This is tough for me because I'm debating between 3 games right now, and the one that really stood out to me. Granted, it wasn't like a blowout or anything. It was relatively a low scoring game, but My second favorite team, the Denver Broncos, somehow upset the Jets 10-9.
Can we really call it an
And,
upset?
Well, yeah, because most of us had the Jets last
It
week.
was a big win for them for sure.
Yeah, because Bo Nix, he threw his first career passing touchdown to, I think, Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton. Correct.
So when I saw that, I was like, there we go. He's not rushing it all the time. He actually has a passing touchdown to his name after 4 weeks. So really for me, I would say that's my game. But in terms of like offense, I'd say it's definitely the Ravens and the Bills. Because Derrick Henry had 199 rushing yards.
He looked tremendous last night. Yet another former Titan exceeding past what they were expected to do upon leaving the team. But
I mean, I think he had like an 87-yard run.
yeah,
Like for a touchdown, I think.
don't remind me.
Oh, that was great.
Just insane. No, it pains me to see. Bo Nix, 12 of 25, 60 yards. You see that stat line from a quarterback, you're like, yeah, they got blown out. But 10-9. Chris, I want to ask you, do you think that was a testament to Denver's defense being that good, or are we seeing the end days of Aaron Rodgers?
I think Denver's defense is kind of good. I don't think it's the end for Aaron Rodgers. I think he's just, still. It's been a long time since we really saw him. Last year, it was so tragic when he got injured in the first week of the season. I think he's just still warming up. It's still early in the season. I think Rodgers will be completely fine. But I think Denver does have a solid defense that can help them win games. It's just a matter of what the offense can do. And the offense did their part, even though it wasn't much. They did enough to win over the Jets. So.
And like you said, it was just enough. And real quick, I shouted him out on last episode, but Tyler Beatty, I don't know if you guys were watching the game, collapsed on the sideline. I went to high school with him, and luckily he was on the plane ride back home with the New York Jets. I just did some research upon that now, but I remember watching the games yesterday and was freaking out slightly when you see someone that I didn't know him too well, but anytime you go to the same high school as someone and they make it to the NFL, you're going to root for him, and seeing something like that was a scary scene. But luckily he was able to be on the flight back home with the Broncos coming after a tremendous win against the Jets. So all prayers for Tyler Beatty and hope he's all well. Carson, what was a game that really stood out to you this past weekend?
Well, how about Jaden Daniels? Commanders are impressive. 3-1 now, blew out the Cardinals. And Jaden Daniels, he's efficient. 26 for 30. He's doing what they need him to do, and that's simple as that. And it really shows what you can do when you have a quarterback. So another thing, Wisconsin's own Dare Ogunbowale had a game-winning touchdown for the Texans. So
Of all people.
I know right? He's doesn't get too many touchdowns, so I saw that, figured that was worth the mention. I remember watching him at Wisconsin. So
You got a lot of great weapons on that Texans team. You think Collins, Diggs,
Right.
Schultz, Tank Dell was out, but Tank Dell, Joe Mixon obviously was out as well, even
Yeah.
Cam Akers. But it just felt nice to see a guy like Dare Ogunbowale, who's bounced around the league quite a bit. and
yeah.
end up cementing the win for a team. Felt really good for him. Mason, what game really stood out to you this weekend?
Man, I got to go with my guy over there in Pittsburgh, Justin Fields. The Bears should have kept him.
Yeah.
But he is out there looking like a pretty decently good quarterback. I'm not going to act like he's just amazing or something. But this was a game where you look at their other wins. Now, this was a loss. I will say that. This was definitely a loss. But you look at Justin Fields specifically in his performance. What have we been asking him to do? If you've been watching the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's can he play from behind? Can he actually make the throws that a franchise quarterback needs to make to put his team in positions to mount a comeback? And for a second there, it was looking like they could have done it. He went for 22 and 34 on completions, 312 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And when they were in, wait, I forgot to mention, that's just passing. Then on the ground, that's what Justin Fields is known for. 55 yards rushing on 10 carries with 2 touchdowns. So 3 touchdowns total, no interceptions, and pretty decent efficiency passing. You look at Justin Fields, his connection with George Pickens is growing a lot. 11 targets for Pickens. You can tell he's starting to lean on Pickens a lot more, which is what I believe they should be doing from the beginning, because George Pickens is really like that. When you watch him play, you can tell he's he's a top premier receiver in the league. But just being able to see Justin Fields go out there and prove that he can actually throw the ball, as a Steelers fan, while you're upset about the loss to knock you down to 3-1, you're not undefeated, you have to be happy seeing Justin Fields being able to play quarterback.
And I think that further cements that even if Russ does come back fully healthy, I think Justin Fields really has the Steelers
he's got
offense
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
together as a cohesive unit. And I mean, 3-1, Mike Tomlin, just truly a testament to how great of a head coach
If
he
it ain't
is.
broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. And I know Russ is sitting there on the sideline really bumming, but I said it from the beginning. I believe Justin Fields should be that guy in Pittsburgh. And I don't think he was really ever given a fair shake in Chicago. And we're really seeing him truly excel in Pittsburgh. And I hope that continues for years to come. Lastly, part of our NFL segment, real quick, because we did go a little over. I gave all the guys here a division in the NFL, and I just wanted to give them a division winner prediction after week 4. We're 25% of the way through the season. So, Zach, I gave you the NFC East real quick. Who do you think will come out as the winner of the NFC East this year?
I see it being very, very close between the Cowboys and Eagles, but if I had to pick who I think would win the division, I got to say Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Yep, just how the way Eagles have been playing right now, if this keeps up, they're not going to win the division like this.
No hope in the Commanders at all, despite
nope.
starting 3.
Nope.
You think they'll fall off?
Got to give them credit for 3-1 start, but they're going to fall off for sure.
Intriguing. Good, interesting
Sorry.
prediction.
That's a bit of a hot take.
Sorry, Commanders fans.
I
a bit of
do,
a
I
hot
do love
take.
Jaden Daniels, but like you said, 25% of the season, it still is a rookie quarterback. We still
Yeah.
have a lot of season to go. Zach, I also gave you the NFC South. Who do you see coming out of that division?
I also seen it being close, but this time with the Falcons and the Saints. But I had to pick one. But if I had to predict which one would win, I got to go with the Saints.
Oh, two picks that I strongly disagree with. Even after seeing that game yesterday between the Falcons and the Saints, you still got to ride with New Orleans?
It was just that one game. I'd say I have a really good feeling about the Saints winning the division.
I think the Saints' Cinderella run is over, and I'm a big Kirk Cousins propagandist. Shout out everyone on the Monday Hawk Talk show last year and knowing how much I love him. But that being said, it's not that bad of a take at all. The Saints' defense is definitely strong enough to get
Yeah.
there. After seeing that win yesterday, I got to respect Big Kirko and his drip. Adam,
Wow.
actually, I'm going to go over to Chris here in the NFC North, keep it in the NFC, and then we'll get back to you for Adam for the AFC.
The NFC North is a bit of a tricky one, I think. The last couple of years, I think it's been tricky. And the 3 main teams you got to look at are Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay. Chicago, I think,
Get him out of here.
yeah.
Scram.
Chicago,
Come on.
Chicago, they're
Boo.
young. Maybe the next couple of years, if they can get things figured out, they can be contenders. But this year, with just a lot of young players and still learning, I don't think they're going to win the North. I think just based off of kind of looking at the teams, I'm going to go Detroit. I just don't know how long Minnesota can keep this going. And then I think Green Bay with their team, I think they're bound for the wild card again, but I don't know if they're going to beat Detroit. I think Detroit has the best team with the guys like Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the running backs, and that defense, and Dan Campbell, how gutsy he is, and how he gets his guys together. I think Detroit wins, and Green Bay finishes second. I don't know how close. In Minnesota, they could also be a wild card team, but again, it depends on Sam Darnold and how long he can go before his tank gets depleted, if it does.
I gotcha. I happen to agree with you. I do think Detroit will still come out of the division, trying to put all Packers bias aside. Minnesota will definitely be in contention down the stretch. I just don't know if this can continue for a whole season. I'm on the Sam Darnold hype train. I just don't see it going on, but I do respect the Detroit pick. I think it's ultimately between them and Green Bay. And lastly, in the NFC, Mason, who you got coming out of the NFC West as the division winner?
Man, the NFC West is another great division this year. Looking at the teams, I like almost all of these teams over here. And I'm on NFL Twitter for sure a lot, so I see what everybody says. I see what they write, and I'm not writing back, man. Give me the Seahawks to win the NFC West. I hate the 49ers, I swear. They've not been playing that great this season anyways. They don't look like the 49ers of old. I feel like as hot as the Seahawks are right now, they could pull an upset and win that division. I refuse to give the 49ers any credit as long as I am breathing on this earth as a Packers fan.
Thank you.
So give me the Seahawks, man. Geno Smith, top 10 quarterback, easily, lock it. And the Seahawks will upset and win that division, man.
I like it. I like the boldness of it. There's just one problem. I'm just going to straight up tell you,
Oh, no.
you're wrong. It's the 49ers division to lose.
Well, that
I'm
was
sorry.
blunt.
I'm sorry.
Enterprise is not
I'm gonna.
gonna help
I happen
them,
to be
bro.
blunt sometimes,
No.
but this is
Wow.
a
Bro.
simple Cinderella run from the Seahawks, and we'll come back to this conversation in
cool.
November
That's
with
cool.
San Francisco atop the division.
Okay.
I think the Seahawks are a wild card team, but I don't think they're winning the West. I think it's the 49ers.
I just don't. I think it's the 49ers division to lose despite everything. I think once McCaffrey hopefully does come back, even still, I think Jordan Mason will fulfill the role just fine. I still think it's 49ers division to lose. Heading back over, switch conferences now, going to the East Coast. Carson, AFC East, who do you like?
Well, before last night, it was going to be the Bills all the way.
Slam dunk
But
Buffalo.
I don't know. I think it's the Jets and the Bills are definitely farther ahead than the Dolphins and Patriots. I mean, Dolphins don't have
brutal
a
for
quarterback.
Miami.
I actually, maybe a little bit of a bold take, but I think the Jets are going to figure it out and win the division. I think
Really?
it'll be. I think it'll be a tighter race, but that's my bold pick of the day.
A lot
So-
of
bold
hot,
take
lot of
right
hot
there, my
takes
friend.
coming out of the fishbowl this year.
Yeah.
I like it. I really do.
they have the pieces. I mean, they just got to put it together.
I do have a kind of a hot take regarding that. If
Oh, boy.
if this
Oh, let's
does
go.
All right, get in
happen,
this seat.
so I kind of have a feeling, and I've been hearing some rumblings. But if this does happen, the Jets will win the division. If this does not happen, the Bills will win the division. But come the trade deadline, I think a particular reuniting will be happening with Aaron Rodgers, a new wide receiver target of old, perhaps,
Don't
someone on the
Davante
trade
Adams.
block, such as Devontae Adams.
That's what I was afraid of you saying.
The Raiders are going nowhere
Wouldn't that be
and
awesome?
nowhere fast. And Aaron Rodgers, and presumably his second to last or last season, I have a feeling he's going to ask management to do everything they can.
He probably
Devontae is
already is.
obviously unhappy with this current situation in Vegas. I think if Devontae and Aaron Rodgers do reunite, the Jets will come out of that division. But that being said, right now, despite even last night, I think it's Buffalo's division to lose. Adam gave you the AFC West and the AFC North. Let's start with the AFC West. Pretty easy prediction here, I hope.
Yeah, I
I
just went with the of course, I would maybe vouch for everyone in this room when I say that the Chiefs are going to take it. Now,
Pretty hands.
granted, I don't know how they keep finding ways to win, especially after yesterday, because last time I checked, they were down 7-0 against the Chargers, and I was just like, well, this should be interesting. And then last time I looked at it, it was 17-10 that the Chiefs won. I'm like, really?
They always find a
Um,
way.
Like, now, okay, with like the rest of the division, with like said Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos, to be honest, I just think that they're just playing average. Like they're just playing as like average teams right now. So, but that's not to say that the Chiefs haven't been playing at their best either. So,
And even still, sitting at 4-0 and atop the division.
Crazy.
but yeah,
pretty
definitely
pretty
give me
slam
the.
dunk.
But yeah, definitely give me the Chiefs to win the West.
That Rasheed Rice injury is definitely brutal, but even
Yeah.
still, it's the Chiefs division to lose. It's pretty slam dunk. Now AFC North, this is a lot more competitive, so I'm curious to hear your prediction.
This one, I went with the Baltimore Ravens.
The way their run
Okay.
offense looked last night, I don't
Because-
think you can dispute that.
Yeah, because if you take the speed and the accuracy of Jackson, like complemented by the presence of Derrick Henry, like that's a duo that's just hard to stop. Like really, like now dare I say impossible, but it's really hard to do.
It's insane because Derrick Henry is a smash mouth. I'm going to run it straight through your defense running back. I dare you to tackle me. And when he gets open field, hits that 4.4 speed. And then Lamar in the pass game, you can't stack the box against him because they'll just run play action and get it to a guy like Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill, who looked tremendous out of the backfield yesterday. And then if they drop back in coverage, Lamar's going to run all over them. That run offense is insane. That division is very, very, very competitive.
Yeah, trying to tackle Derrick Henry's more or less trying to tackle a brick wall.
I had higher hopes for Cleveland. I was not expecting Deshaun Watson to look this bad. I really thought the strength of Cleveland's defense would have them contending. And as much as I want to say Pittsburgh, despite my disliking of them, I'm a big Justin Fields guy. After last night, it's 100% Baltimore's division to lose, and I agree with you that strongly. Wrapping it up real quick with the AFC South, the Tennessee no, it's going to be the Texans. I hate to say it. No, it's,
Don't be biased.
No,
here.
I can't.
Don't be biased now.
It's just bad. The division is just awful. It's terrible. Ugh. The Titans, in my opinion, aren't even the worst team in the division, and we are that bad. Trevor Lawrence does not look good. Trevor Lawrence does not look good.
Nah, I think the Titans are the worst.
Ugh, no. Trevor Lawrence has looked pitiful, and I envy those that have to end up watching that Titans-Jaguars game this year. I do not envy, pardon me. Anthony Richardson just gets hurt far too much. He doesn't know how to slide. He's got tremendous talent, and then he just goes and makes ridiculous
He
decisions
looked good on
as a
my bench in
quarterback.
fantasy, I'll tell you that. I finally took him out.
But I think the AFC South is just, without a doubt, the worst division in football. I was going to try and spread some Titans propaganda here and there. The Titans will probably be, I can't even say probably, or hopefully going to be 1-3 after tonight against Tyler Huntley, who's only known the offense for a week. But if we lose tonight, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night. But that being said, Texans divisions to lose. C.J. Stroud, I still think is due for some regression. He hasn't looked like C.J. Stroud last year, but even still with the sophomore slump, it's the Texans division. And yeah, it'll be very exciting to see what happens. We have 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, Seahawks and Lions, as well as Titans-Dolphins. Titans-Dolphins, maybe 3 weeks ago would have been fun to watch. Tonight's going to be absolute snooze fest, and I'm going to suffer through 3 hours of watching Will Levis attempt to throw a football. But that being said, he's my ride or die, and that will conclude our segment of the NFL, and we will now advance to the MLB postseason push. We are in the midst of the last game of the season right now, and just as I say that, Marcelo Ozuna just hit a single to left field to give the Braves a 3-0 lead. So as it stands, the Mets and Braves will both make the playoffs, barring a Mets comeback here in the 8th. I don't know if you guys were able to catch that first game of the doubleheader today, but it was absolutely electric. It looked like the Braves had it the whole way. Mets score 6 in the 8th. Braves score 4 in the bottom of the 8th. Lindor hits a 2-run home run. Again, what's up with guys from my teams just excelling elsewhere? Like, it's just pain everywhere.
I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. But it's okay. But as it stands right now, barring anything happening crazy in the next 20 minutes or so of this game, it looks like we're going to have Brewers, Mets in the first round of the playoffs. Adam, Brewers, Mets. Who do you like and why?
Man, that's tough, honestly, because the Mets pitching has just been phenomenal, along with their offense. Like, I don't know where their offense was to begin the year. Like, the Mets just didn't really have it together like they did last season. But you get to, like, late August, early this month, they just began clicking on both sides of the ball. So I would say in the wild card series with the Mets and the Brewers, I'm going to say it's going to go to 3 games, just because of the fact that both offenses are just outstanding. Pitching-wise, I'm going to, as much as it pains me to say, I'm going to have to give the edge to the Mets.
Wow.
Because the Brewers have just been dealing with injuries to their pitching staff all year long. And I don't know how many of them are going to be back come the postseason tomorrow, but yeah, I'd say it's going to go to 3 games, but I would think, and I'm hopeful, that the Brewers get it done in 3 games against New York. So, yeah.
I'm going to be rooting for the Brewers, too. Obviously, they're my second team now, fully being accustomed to Wisconsin environment. But part of me really thinks, and my roommates strongly disagree with this, they're all big Brewers fans, they would rather play the Mets. And I strongly disagree. I think I would have much rather played the Diamondbacks.
Their offense?
Despite the Diamondbacks in previous years, it's all about who's hot going into October. And right now, especially after that win yesterday, yes, you depleted your pen. Yes, you have to play again tomorrow. But the Mets have energy. They have life. They were dead in the water. And all of a sudden, they've come back really strong. Definitely going to make some noise come October. And I just, frankly, for the Brewers, I'd be a little bit worried. I do think the Brewers will come out of it eventually in the series, but it's not going to be as easy as a lot of my friends and other analysts are claiming it to be. I definitely do see it going 3 games, but I'm going to have to give the slight edge to Milwaukee right now, but it's definitely going to be a sweat of a series. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, hopefully Milwaukee can win the series. It's been a while since we've seen Milwaukee even win a playoff series, unfortunately. It's been since 2018 when we made that NLCS against the Dodgers, but it's tricky picking a team who I'd rather want to see because both Arizona and New York are really good. New York is just had a big resurgence. They struggled early in the year, and then just with a snap of a finger, they were hot, and now they're in the playoffs, which is huge. And Arizona, we played them last year in the first round. We got swept, and this year we've had our struggles against the Diamondbacks in our series, including that last series where we played Arizona. We dropped the first two. The third one, we were down by 8 runs, and we pulled off that immaculate comeback. But it's going to be a tricky one on who I'd rather play. I think even though everyone says they want to play the Diamondbacks, I actually probably have to agree with that just with how hot the Mets have been. And with how good Milwaukee's been, I give them the slight edge in the series, just like you guys. I think Milwaukee will go to 3 games with Arizona and win the series and play Philadelphia in the next round.
So depending on seeding, yes, Milwaukee would play Philadelphia. There
Okay.
wouldn't
Yeah,
be a way
yeah.
that they wouldn't. Correct. Carson, as a diehard Cubs fan, I know talking about the Brewers.
Yeah,
pains
I
you.
got the Mets.
You got to go with the Mets.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
I'd rather play the Mets, honestly.
It is a little difficult because I think the Brewers could easily go on to beat the Phillies, and I also think they can lose in the wild card. So I don't know.
the
It
Brewers
could go
are-
either way, but
Brewers are
I'm
definitely
riding
very
the hot
interesting.
hand, and that would be the Mets. So I think it'll go to 3, but I do think the Mets will come out on top and give the Phillies a run for their money. So
Hey, yo.
So to avoid, having to talk about the Brewers anymore, what's another wild card series that really sticks out to you? Because I know it probably pains you seeing the Brewers and not
how
your
about the
precious Craig
Tigers
Counsell.
though? I'm
The
a Tigers fan now,
Yeah, where
especially
did they come from?
especially
They
because
just came
they're
out of
playing
nowhere.
the Astros too. So I think everybody wants to see the Tigers beat the Astros in the wild card.
Pardon
I
me?
think all of America would want to see the Tigers
Yeah.
beat the Astros.
But yeah,
Unfortunately,
they're
yes.
hot as well and haven't made the playoffs since 2014. So
And shout
gotta,
out to
gotta
Tariq
say I'm
Skubal.
rooting for them. So.
Shout out to Tariq Skubal, who will presumably be the Cy Young
Oh
in
yeah,
the
he's
AL.
been insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple Crown winner, absolute stud. Mason, what's one series that will stick out to you, Mr. Baseball over there?
I have to go with the home team on this one because that's the main one that I kind of know about. However, I did look at some stuff, and I am interested in the Tigers as well, hearing their little Cinderella story and stuff. I like Detroit teams as well just because they're usually garbage. So I'll be keeping my eye
They've gone
on
through
them a
enough.
little bit, maybe too.
Been through so much.
But with Milwaukee, last time I was on here, I was saying that I'm with Brewers all the way. That was when I was completely uninformed. I was recently made aware that we haven't won a playoff series since 2018.
So are we due? I say we. Are they due?
I mean, that was like pre-COVID. Like that's wow.
ancient
Like that's a
times.
while ago. I feel like as we've been playing, we have looked good this year. So I do believe we have a chance, but that's a really bad streak. That's a horrible streak. And I'm gonna be the one to put my neck out there on my first season of watching baseball to say, oh, we're just gonna break that streak. I don't know, but I'll say for the sake of saying go Milwaukee, but I'm scared. I'm definitely scared for that one.
So while you guys, Brewers fans, are going to be sweating out these next 3 days, Zach and I don't have any problems till Saturday with our Phillies and Guardians comfortably sitting with the first round bye. Zach, how does it feel to be sitting in the wings watching these teams duke it
Feel
out?
very good. It gives me a week to just, sit back, relax, and just see who we're going to verse.
Kick
As
your
he's
feet
sitting
up.
back in his chair right now.
Yep.
Absolutely.
chilling.
As a Guardians fan, I would love to play Kansas City. But it's more than likely going to be Baltimore. And as a Guardians propagandist, it's going to be a hard series. 100%. I've trying to keep bias aside. I do like Baltimore. I did call the regression this year from last year, but I wasn't expecting them to still be as good as they are. It's definitely going to be very exciting. A lot of great games tomorrow. Tigers, Astros, Royals, Orioles, Brewers, and presumably Mets, followed by Padre and presumably Braves, barring anything crazy happening in the last 2 innings of this baseball game. So with this segment, we'll conclude. I know we went over it last week, but has anything changed from last week on your World Series pick? I'll ask it each of you guys quickly. Name one team that you just think, if you had to pick a team right now to put all your eggs in one basket, will win the World Series. Real quick, give me a team, Zach.
I think I said for my prediction last week it was the Phillies and the Yankees to make the World Series. I'm gonna stick to that prediction still.
Stick with the Yankees. I believe you picked the Yankees to win, or did you pick the Phillies?
I said Phillies.
Phillies to win?
Phillies to win World Series. I'm not trying to be biased, but I feel like they have a better shot over the
I
Yankees. That
understand.
does happen.
Adam, one team to win it all right now.
Now, before I do, I just have to ask you. You're not going to call me Mr. Baseball, but you're going to call Mason Mr. Baseball?
It was a little bit of some sarcasm.
Yeah, I was about
It was-
to say, I
You know, it was kind of sarcasm. I'm not Mr. Baseball.
Wow.
Believe me, Adam,
but-
Mr. Baseball is
But
on this
anyways-
side. I just had to dig on Mason a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's okay.
Of course,
I bow
of
down
course.
to you. I bow down to you, King
No, I
Baseball.
got you.
It's okay, man.
But no, from the last time we all gathered, I have to like my two picks for the World Series would be, of course, the Phillies and the Guardians.
And
Because
who did-
I have both one seeds just dropping it in the championship series.
And
But
who did you see winning that series?
over the World Series?
Yep.
I have Zach's Phillies winning it all
All
this
right,
year,
next.
so
Chris.
there you go.
I'm just kidding. Ugh, Guardians in the World Series. I don't know if I can stomach
So I
another
think my
loss.
World Series prediction was the 1 seeds, Dodgers, Yankees. I'm going to change it a bit. I think that the Dodgers can still make it. I don't think the Yankees win, just with how history's been looking. I'm going to give it to Cleveland. I think Cleveland's going to make it.
Jose,
Now, as to who
Jose,
wins that,
Jose, Jose.
Now, as to who wins that, unfortunately, I got to go with the Dodgers.
Man, you guys keep saying Guardians in the World Series followed by a loss, and I just don't think I can take 2016 all over again. I really can't. Carson, one team to win it all right now.
Well, the Phillies are a playoff team, so
They definitely are.
you think I got to go there, but
Thank you.
I mean the Dodgers too. Just from the naked eye, they are talented, and
Very.
I'm gonna say the same thing. I think the Guardians are gonna make it and lose. So,
Oh.
That's the Dodgers.
if I gotta
Sorry,
pick,
man.
I'm gonna go Phillies, but it's between them and the Dodgers. So
Brutal.
Thank you.
Mason, help me out here. One team to win it all right now. I know you said the Dodgers last week. Has anything changed? Are you riding with them?
he wants the Tigers.
Man, give me the Tigers. But if not, then give me the LA Otanis.
The LA Otanis. That'll conclude our baseball segment. As much as I want to say the Guardians, I think the Dodgers are just too stacked, top to bottom. I don't see anyone getting in their way. I know it seems like the safe pick, but I just really don't see anyone beating the Dodgers. It would be awesome to see them lose. But unfortunately, Otani's just extraterrestrial right now.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's the Dodgers World Series to lose. Like I said, the casual pick, but I don't see anyone coming in their way in the month of October. That'll conclude our baseball segment. We'll now get to final thoughts. Real quick, Zach, give us some final thoughts.
Postseason, like we said, for MLB starts tomorrow, and looks like you said the Brewers will either play the Mets or the Arizona if
Brewers will play the Mets as it stands right now.
yeah. But yeah, and then looks like it's gonna be. I already can't believe it's already MLB playoff
The season
time.
has flown by. Adam, final thoughts.
Where did the season go?
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, this is a shout out to my friend Kenny Wheatley, who's a huge Mets fan, but you're gonna lose tomorrow. I'm just saying.
Brewers are coming and coming for blood.
We are coming for you.
Chris, final thoughts.
I feel like you're going to really hate me because I said Cleveland was going to lose, and my final thought is, what is the meme-worthy pick Will Levis is going to put up tonight against the Dolphins?
All
That's
right.
what I was-
Well, yeah. Carson, final thoughts.
I was going to help your feelings, and Titans are going to be 1-3 after tonight. So there you go.
You
and
are
I'm excited
100%
for playoffs because this is truly the best time of the year. NBA is right around the corner. MLB playoffs, NFL is full swing. So greatest time of the year.
October is probably my second favorite month for sports.
Yeah.
Mason, final thoughts.
Jaden Reed's top 10. Jalen Hurts is not top 10. Die Eagles die.
Wow.
That'll conclude our Hawk Talk. Final thoughts from me. As Carson said, I'm 1-0 on my predictions this year. Cleveland Guardians will be amazing. That being said, Titans will win tonight. And that will conclude Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WNCW Whitewater.